So yeah, Crackhead cursed gun images, which Brandon hates, but we love. Because we are all sadists. Just some of us are into sadomasochism. Alright. By the way, vote for him. He's currently running for Congress.
Are we rolling? What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Cursed Gun Images, one of your most favorite and one of my least favorite videos on the channel. One where I go through some of the internet's most cursed gun images. Some of these are just things I found on the internet. Some of them are submitted directly by you, the viewer, because you love to watch me suffer.
As I said.
I'm your host, Brandon Barbera. Let's get into the Glockenspiel torture. Right out the gate, have you ever wanted to be in a bout of fisticuffs, but also want to shoot squirrels and or injure people? I introduce to you 22 caliber brass knuckles. It's gonna be a long video. Funny enough, I think according to the NFA, this weapon is technically classified as an AOW or any other weapon. I feel like there's a bunch of weird shit, like as far as disguised firearms that end up on the AOW list. Like you still have to get an NFA tax stamp, but instead of $200, it's like $5. Already autistically in the weeds. Anyhow, this does bring a whole new meaning to the term brass knuckles.
How's that supposed to work? That's a good question, because you could see theoretically where you put the shell, but there's no bolt and there's no trigger. I'm not sure how that actually works.
Also, I just love the practical application of this. Implies that if you're going to hit somebody with it, you're going to also shoot the guy directly to your left. Funny enough, that's also how I won my boxing match. Mom, I want Moses.
Oh no. Why would you do that? Actually, can that even take the recoil? 7.62 by 54R is not a nice round. I'm not even sure that could take the recoil. What I was gonna say before that horror show showed up was pull the nut and it activates the lever under the... I don't know. Anyways, theoretically, it is a looks like brass knuckles, shoot the guy for a surprise attack.
Nagant. We have Mosin Nagant at home. Mosin Nagant at home. Yet, I don't know if this works or not, but this is kind of psychotic. I think the intent is to make this like kind of a takedown rifle. Either that or maybe it's just a meme. But turning a Mosin into something that you use like a pump action BB gun you had when you were a kid. There's latches and shit there. This might be somewhat functional. Either way,
I would not trust it.
Terminally online.
I would not trust it at all.
For the Barbie girl in a Barbie world, we have whatever this AR-15 is. Look, I think that just marketing things specifically to women by just throwing pink shit on it is already kind of cringe. Women and like, flamboyantly gay dudes. But that wasn't enough to include it in...
Oh my god. Wow. Oh, that one made me lightheaded. I'm trying to look. I'm not sure that's 5.56. I might be seeing the silhouette wrong. I think that's like Beowulf.
Cursed gun images if it wasn't for the fucking Labubu hanging off the hand.
Oh no, I think I could see the crayon tips. That might be 5.56.
Guard. It's like a Funko Pop, but fucking worse somehow. I don't get it. I don't understand this generation. 6'7", fuck you. Yeah. Next. Oh boy, that didn't take long. What is it with firearms seized in other countries and like their obsession with plastidip bullshit? This looks like a CZ with leprosy. Oh god, this is from Jamaica. I just saw the top left. Hey, man, why you got... No, I'm not. No.
Please don't.
Honestly, this is probably the best of the improvised guns we have in this lineup. You guys all remember the famous Smith & Methson, right?
Oh.
Never underestimate the ability of somebody who's high on meth to find the most complicated way of doing something you can buy for $150. There's this one I found recently, which is a what appears to be a 22 LR revolver with the signature grip tape, which I have to wonder if this was even ever remotely functional. I said there's that little spring there attached to the barrel, to the hammer, that like you pull it back. It's got the bones. It might work. What I'm really concerned about is that barrel, which looks real fucking small.
Yeah.
Even for 22 LR. Not only that, it looks notably inconsistent and possibly crooked. This whole thing makes a lot more sense when you realize...
You ever... 22 LR exploding is not a problem most people need to worry about. I would be legitimately concerned about that particular firearm doing that.
The other details of why this was confiscated. It was a guy, also potentially high on meth, impersonating a law enforcement officer, specifically a U.S. Marshal, in what has got to be the most convincing costume I've ever seen.
You know what? That looks like something Georgie would come up with. Let me see if I can find it. If you've ever played Papers, Please, you'll recognize this passport. This looks like one.
I really have to admire his optimism for thinking he would get far enough along with that jacket to think that he needed
Looks
to
like
have a
one of his.
convincing working handgun. And then there's whatever the fuck this is, which, I mean, it looks like a fairly straightforward, just pull back,
What the heck?
fire, 22 caliber. And I understand why a lot of these people just use 22 LR. I mean, it's fairly simple. It's low pressure, very low chance of blowing up, and still potentially fatal. I mean, it's not going to do a whole lot of damage, but I mean, with the AM-180, it was considered less lethal. Which really just means being a cop in the 1960s was fucking wild. Not getting too far off topic, but if I do not see an AM-180 in the new season of Fallout, I'm going to show my ass. But anyhow, out of all the crackhead guns I've seen, this is probably the one that, in my eyes, looks most likely to work just from an outsider's perspective. That was until I saw the ammunition it was seized with. So you see a couple of different loads in the same box of CCI.
What is that?
You've got, your typical lead projectiles for a 22, a bunch of crimped cases implying that they are blanks, possibly used in the testing to make sure that they could actually set off the rimfire primer. And then you zoom out and you see what I can only describe as 22 caliber thunder, which I love isn't even straight. Like, it's visibly fucking crooked. Does this look normal? On meth.
That is a wild idea.
Your brain on drugs.
2026. Fresh start, same system. Banks win, you pay. Fees and calls piling up monthly. Unless you fight back. PDS debt has already helped hundreds of thousands cut their debt and put money back in their pocket. Not the banks. Whether you're struggling with credit cards, personal loans, or medical bills, PDS Debt has custom solutions to get you out of debt. And there's no minimum credit score required. They're here to help you save more, pay off your debt faster, and put that money back where it belongs. Your pocket. PDS Debt is A+ rated on the Better Business Bureau, and they have thousands of 5-star reviews. Why? Because as I said, PDS Debt has helped hundreds of thousands to get out of debt. It's about to be a new year, and it could be a new you, one that isn't in debt. So don't wait another month. Take back control in 30 seconds. Get your free personalized assessment at pdsdebt.com/bh. That's pdsdebt.com/bh. pdsdebt.com/bh. Also, a big thank you, as always, to the sponsor of the channel, sdi.edu. If you've ever thought about getting your start in gunsmithing and weapons technology,
he was
you
doing
can
the
check them out
PBS
using the
thing.
links down in the description.
That's why I said it that way.
Now, unfortunately, back to cursed gun images. Now, this one comes straight from our brothers in the English language, the UK. Turns out a young man has converted a staple gun to be able to fire live cartridges. You may remember this oldie but goodie from cursed gun images long ago, where somebody had converted a staple gun to be able to fire a .22 caliber long rifle. Judging by the ruler in the bottom right-hand corner of this photo, I'm assuming it was also a crime when they did it. But apparently a man by the name of Jamie Young in the UK was given a 5-year sentence for doing the same thing. This is also just telling me that staple guns are apparently alarmingly easy to convert if you have the willpower and, again, potentially methamphetamine. But that's crazy, converting something off the shelf to be a single-shot weapon and getting 5 years in prison. In the United States, as long as you're not a felon, making your own guns is perfectly legal. That being said, this is also the UK, where if you say a naughty tweet, you also get thrown in prison. Pour one out for the...
They have also moved to eliminate jury trials for those. Basically, for things under 2 years, no jury. Magistrate could just decide if you're guilty. Technically, no trial, period. And the average sentence for a speech violation is 18 months, year and a half. So, yep. No trials, canceled more elections. Where's my sound? There we go.
The homies stuck behind enemy lines in the UK. We love you. We see you. We are... Pour one out for the homies stuck behind... Say a naughty tweet, you also get thrown in prison. Pour one out for the homies stuck behind enemy lines in the UK. We love you. We see you. We are equally embarrassed on your behalf by your government. Seriously, the free speech stuff is getting fucking bad in the UK right now. What was that one recently where they had, the woman who got sexually assaulted by somebody, and then she said a naughty thing about the person who had sexually assaulted her, and then she was the one who got arrested? Fucking insane. I've never been more proud of my ancestors for throwing tea in that harbor. Anyhow, while we're shitting on European countries, let's go to the French. Don't tell Ian I said this, but I still, I haven't put hands on the FAMAS yet. I'm not sure what to feel about it until I do, but I do know a lot of the French rifle enjoyers seem to defend it quite a lot. So for all of you who stan the FAMAS, may I present to you Thomas the Tank Rifle.
What?
It's just a shitty FAMAS skin. Look, it's still my opinion the best thing to ever come out of France was Expedition 33. The FAMAS has to earn my love. I will say, however, this does remind me of the original fucking Mac 11 lunchbox.
Oh, yeah, that's
or whatever the fuck that was, the Thomas the Tank Engine, little clamshell thing with the Mac 11 in it. And if you've been a fan of the channel for a while, you already know why I brought that up.
I got 7 Mac 11s, about 8, 38s, 9, 9, 10 Mac 10s, the shits never end.
Maybe I'm getting old, but there's nothing I love more than shitty early 2000s internet humor. Back before we had AI slop to generate this shit, right? Somebody had to have autism. Respect. This next one is like when you're driving home and you want McDonald's. No, we have McDonald's at home. Well, what if you're driving home and you want an MP7? Well, apparently Poland has an answer for that as well. MP7 at home. Yeah, apparently the Polish PM63 was being converted over into a relatively modern...
Reminder that that's the one that threatens to take your eye out when you shoot it.
submachine gun. or PDW, however you want to put it, which looks like a big plastic housing on the front that just, yeah, it's kind of a conversion kit. I mean, fuck, actually half of these look 3D printed. I'm just now seeing the layer lines on the one on the bottom left. Which, look, I can't really talk shit. I mean, before I had MP7, I had MP7 at home. It's cool until you realize it's cope. Cope from it, seethe from it, MP7 arrives all the same. At the end of the day, cope is in the eye of the beholder. Now, a lot of you are probably familiar with ghost guns. You know, 80% lowers, whether it be like a Glock or an AR-15 that are made of various different materials. A lot of them are polymer, some, especially the AR-15.
I will once again remind people that 98% of ghost guns were not classified as ghost guns until the United States government decided to include the definition of regular firearms that have had the serial numbers filed off. We did not have a ghost gun problem until they took something that was already illegal and classified it as a ghost gun. Because it was already illegal to remove the serial number off of firearms.
Or aluminum. One that you don't often see is wood. Wood with a bunch of screws and an
Oh my
erector
God,
set
what?
with fucking steel brackets. I don't know what kind of upper that is, but I guarantee it's a PSA. Honestly, just for the meme, I kind of respect it. Especially when you
PVC
realize
pipe
that the buffer
stock.
tube and the stock are just fucking PVC pipe. There's no end to that buffer tube. It just keeps going, actually straight up through the plumbing, through the pipes, into the underwater level of Super Mario. On a scale of 1 to dangerous, fuck it, I'd try it. Now this next one looks like a fairly innocuous, just modern carbine. Except to a tiny margin of you out there that are
I know what that
nerds
is.
and have played Escape from Tarkov. In which case, if you take a closer look at the receiver, you'll notice it's actually a Keter. You know, that super shitty starter, scav, submachine gun you get in that game? Say what you will, when you're barely scraping by, that Keter makes the cheddar. Apparently some company in Russia, I guess, was turning these into full-on, full-length carbines. Barrel length and everything, a necessity in Russia to be able to sell it to the civilian market without being labeled as a pistol. So in general, that's already kind of cursed. But if
Yep.
you just zoom in on that muzzle brake, I can't let this go. The Ketter's chambered in 9x18 Makarov, typically. That is an obnoxiously large muzzle brake.
That's
on top
not
of
a
that,
muzzle
I will
brake.
never understand
I know exactly
the
what
Russian
that is.
fascination. Pull up the inside of like a VSS suppressor, okay? I'll never understand the Russian obsession with just putting bent washers in shit. I do want a Keter. Is it good? I don't know. Probably not. But I just want one.
The VSS should be a clue what that really is. It just doesn't come with the outer casing.
One of these days. Now to something I don't want. When we think about combat rifles, we tend to leave out the combat rifles of our forefathers. It's not all just AR-15 derivatives. There were things that people marched into combat long ago with, like, for example, the Lee Enfield. Saw a bunch of service in World War I and II and was beloved by infantry troops across the globe. And it made it 100 years in the future just for some Redditor to do this. I will never understand the fascination with just putting AK underfolders on everything. Okay, I do
neither
kind
do
of
I.
understand. AK underfolding stocks are like cheap as fuck. So like if you're just like looking at like trash blasters and like crazy shit, crazy projects to do, I
Someone
kinda get
played
it.
way too
Also, the
much
irony
Call
was
of
not
Duty.
lost on me that the only Lee Enfield I have in this room,
Way too much Call of Duty.
that one. In my defense, there's historical precedent for that, but we'll get into that later. No, we won't. I got into it before. I made a whole video about it. Yeah, no, straight up, that's an AK underfolding stock that's affixed to that. You know, AK underfolding stocks, notorious for their great cheek welds. Look, I want to hate it. I really do. The more I look at it, it kind of goes hard. I don't know. You tell me what you think. Cursed or
Cursed.
maybe blurst.
Cursed.
You know, not quite blessed, not quite cursed. It just something about this.
Cursed.
It's hitting a funny bone with me. I'm not sure. Do you feel the same? But alas, is it really a Cursed Gun Images episode if you don't have a high point? I still need to make a handguard for it, but here she is. A high point JHP 45. The frame comes off with 2 bolts in under a minute. AK underfolder. Again, with the AK underfolders. Just a fucking washer over it with a screw. High point owners, you know. I love he's got like the spray painted fake light on the slide on one side. I'm very curious. The more, the The longer I look at this, the more confusing it is. Look at that spring on the barrel. And the fact that this is 45 ACP, but you have like a fucking Walmart hunting scope on top. Looks like the stock at least does collapse, which is, at least that's relatively functional. But man, that stock angle is absurdly low. Absolutely no cheek weld in sight. If
I
you're
could see
using that
something
scope.
worse on this.
But you know what?
Because these have a fixed barrel, this is probably properly screwed on. Meaning that this entire thing is probably mounted by the barrel threads. Yeah, because this is just a tiny little clip claw to keep it in place. This whole thing is held on by the freaking barrel threads. Because that can't hold on there. The slide won't cycle if it does. I just realized they also cut a hole in the slide. And I bet I know why. I absolutely hate it, but I bet I know why. That's probably for you to stick your finger in to cycle it, because now the whole slide is covered, so you can't grab onto it. This is an absolute nightmare. Hi, Golden. We're doing it grease gun style with a weapon very not designed to do it grease gun style.
Fuck it, it's a high point. These are like the classiest of the meth heads building guns. The aristocracy of the Smith & Methson class, if you will. But at least most of the high point enthusiasts don't have access to a welder, because then things could get really nasty. Drumroll, please. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have a name for it. Best I got is the low point. It seems to be predominantly a PPS 43 with a Thompson foregrip and a high point upper on top, kludged together with what I can only assume is a MIG welder and some JB weld. The PPS
That slide
with the wood
doesn't
stock,
even
that's gonna be
move.
fucking hard, but not now. You got the mag well right below. Oh god, I don't know. There's so many. The question in my mind is always like, does this actually function? And in this case, the answer is, I hope not. I mean, the magwell's in the right place, but I guess just to harken back to an old cursed gun images joke, where to bolt go, though? I don't see anywhere for it to actually cycle, but either way, this is actually
Unless
the gun
that
that inspired
whole
me to make
assembly
another one of these videos, because
moves
it just
back.
hurts my fucking retinas. And if I had to see it, then so do you.
Sydney Sweeney got a mastectomy from Sid from Toy Story.
Ugh.
What?
Anyhow, I'm about to bleach my fucking eyeballs and recalcify my pineal gland. I appreciate you guys for staying all the way to the end, and as always, I will see you sexy YouTube mother lovers in the next video. Thank you, and if I don't see you until then, Merry Christmas.
Fuel is my obsession to make the perfect weapon, like Rasputin's rise to the top. But you can stop.
Anyhow, I'm about to fucking bleach my... Chlamydia, your father's here.